Welcome to Movie Review Mom. I'm the mom and I do the movie reviews. And today, the movie I'm reviewing is called The Royal. This inspiring movie is available in select theaters and on video on demand starting July 2022. The movie is rated PG-13 and is an hour and 38 minutes. And the movie review mom grade I'm giving it is a B. Let me give you an overview in a nutshell, and then I'll point out things I liked and didn't like, offer tips for parents, themes worth talking about, and even some recommendations for other movies that I think are sort of similar, at least that came to my mind as I was watching this one. All right, let's get started. In a nutshell, this dramatic movie is based on a true story about a royal, not from England, but from the Kansas City Royals. And it's also based on the book called Willie Mays Aiken's Safe at Home. Now, with a name like Willie Mays, there's no question this guy was going to be successful at baseball, right? Well, a title card during the opening credits informs us that Willie Mays Aikens made baseball history when he hit 2 home runs in 2 World Series. That's amazing. The screenplay was written by Gregory W. Jordan, who also co-wrote the book. The film was directed by Marcel Sarmiento. All right, so let me tell you about the things that I liked about the movie. First of all, Amen Joseph does a great job portraying a baseball hero who had to overcome the stigma of being a felon, convicted felon, after he spent 14 years in prison. However, the stigma is not the only thing he had to overcome. There's some talk about how unfair the mandatory sentencing guidelines were in the 1980s, specifically as they related to drugs. Willie was arrested and sentenced to 20 years for possession of 50 grams of cocaine with the intent to sell. He was released early, though, because the federal rules were actually revised. We get to see old footage of Willie's actual home runs, which is cool. He hit 77 home runs for the Kansas City Royals during his career with them as a player. We also get to see photos and video clips of the real Willie today as we find out what he's up to now. Other cast members include Elizabeth Rome, Olivia Holquin, Andrea Navedo, and I loved her in the popular TV show Jane the Virgin. I thought she was adorable. Michael Beach and Nick Bishop. I loved the scene when Willie goes into a store to buy alcohol. You can just see the torture and struggle on Amin Joseph's face as he tries to show how difficult it was for Willie Mays to change his habits and his taste for alcohol, among other things. I also thought it was super sweet when Willie has lunch with George Brett, who orders alcoholic drinks for both of them during the meal, but then quickly changes his order to soda in order to support Willie and his desire to change his life. So let this movie be a reminder to all of us that no earthly accomplishment can compensate for the love and respect of family members. And ultimately, that is absolutely what's demonstrated, that he finally realized the mistakes that he made, took ownership of them, and made those hard choices to change his life. So there were a few things that I didn't like or thought could have been done a little bit better. For example, the movie shows Willie getting upset that other people don't embrace his return from jail with warmth and excitement. And for a time, he has a really hard time in the movie, at least, accepting the fact that his condition was 100% his own fault. And I've known people like that they create their own problems in life and they blame it on other people. And so I'm not sure if the movie was intended to show it that way. That's how I interpreted it, for sure. And then by the end, it seemed like he really did take ownership. It would have been really fun to see some real baseball players make cameo performances in the movie. A lot of lines are spoken so softly that it's really hard to understand what's being said. And so if you watch this online streaming at home, then I would encourage you to put on captions just so you can capture those quiet moments. Let me give you some tips for parents. We see Willie in prison. There's talk of drugs and drug dealing. There's something to be said to your kids about the importance of surrounding yourself with good friends who don't break the law. And even more than that, it's crucial to fill your life with friends who support you to be your best self. And we see both sides. We see him just walking by this house where some of his old bad friends were. And, and you're like, oh no, don't talk to them. Walk away. And then we see other friends who were there to embrace him and buoy him up during his struggles. And then we also see alcohol consumed and even drugs used a little bit as well. Some of the themes that are illustrated very well are baseball, the love and passion for baseball, second chances, change, forgiveness, being a role model, especially to your kids, optics and prejudice, mandatory drug sentencing, and persistence. So I always write down funny lines and interesting lines if there are any to give you a taste of the movie. But there really weren't that many funny lines, certainly none worth noting or writing down, because it really is more of a dramatic movie. But I did write down some interesting lines. And interestingly enough, many of them came from the daughter, who spouts off all of these brilliant things. For example, she says, people are trapped in history and history is trapped in people. Another time she says, a house without books is like a room without windows. And I absolutely concur, as an author of 31 books, that that's absolutely true. And then another line that speaks to the theme of optics is when George Brett of the Kansas City Royals is talking to Willie Mays, and he says, it's not about what's right, it's about what looks right. And so as Willie Mays is hoping to get back into baseball, they're just like, you're a convicted felon and doing the whole drug thing. And, that's not going to look very good. And I think nowadays society is so much more forgiving. And the film shows that as well. All right. So before we go, let me give you recommendations for two other movies that I instantly thought of. The first one is called American Underdog. So it's a story about a football player, and I should say a true story about a football player. And I recently reviewed this one. And again, it shows kind of the way back and trying to, well, I don't want to spoil it, but I thought it was really, really good. And then another one is about a boxer, also based on a true story, called Father Stu, featuring Mark Wahlberg. And I thought it was also excellent. Check out both of those reviews on my YouTube channel. All right, that's it. I hope that if you watch this, that you enjoy it, and that you reflect on your own life choices and the people that you bring into your circle of influence and support. And thank you so much for supporting me and for influencing me. I read every single comment that you guys write. So keep commenting down below. Thank you for subscribing. And if you haven't, what's preventing you from subscribing, for crying out loud? Do it now and give me a thumbs up. All right. Thank you so much. Have a great day. Bye for now.